My name is Haley House, and I'm super excited to be in class with each and every one of y'all this semester. And I want to show you a little bit of where I live and what I do.
Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant.
First things first, I have the most amazing family of all time. My parents, Tim and Allison, are just the most amazing people, and when I accepted my call to ministry, they were my first supporters. I also have an older sister named Taylor who's married to a guy named Alex, and they're really awesome people. They live in my hometown. And then my brother, he is a rookie with the Arizona Cardinals this year, and he is just loving life, playing football, and I wish I knew more about football. People I've met on his team are kind of a big deal, but he's enjoying that, and we are so excited for him. One of my favorite hobbies is to sew, and that love of sewing has turned in recent years into a love of quilting, which sounds super old woman, I know, but I love it, and it's kind of therapy for me. So this is one of my blankets, and I mean, who doesn't love a good blanket, right?
If it's a car you lack.
I ended up at Asbury Seminary because of the work that the Lord did in my heart. I was at Baylor University. In my last semester, I literally had 2 months left before graduation. The Lord grabbed a hold of me and said, "Haley, you're not going to dental school. Quit applying, graduate, and go to seminary because I want you in the local church." So I began to talk with my pastor about it, and I began to look at different seminaries, and every one that I respected and I loved and I wanted to be like went to Asbury. So I had to go. My ministry calling is one that puts me at the heart of the local church. Currently it looks at serving full-time in youth ministry, but in the future I don't know what it's going to look like. Would love to be an associate pastor, would love to be a senior pastor, would love to serve the church, the local church, in any capacity that the Lord has for me. My denomination affiliation is the United Methodist Church. I grew up United Methodist at St. Mark UMC in Cleburne, Texas. When I was in 5th grade, we had a church split, and I ended up at First Methodist, which ended up being just a huge blessing. And when I went to Baylor, it took me a year and a half to find First Methodist Waco, but I found this church, and that's where I've been ever since. So we are in the Central Texas Conference in the Central District.
And float away into the night.
I currently serve at First Methodist Waco as a licensed local pastor. It's kind of new as of October 1, and I absolutely love it. Getting to do baptisms and serving communion and doing weddings and funerals. I love serving the local church in this capacity while also serving in the youth ministry. I think it says a lot that our church has appointed a pastor for the youth department. I started preaching 5 years ago when I came on staff with First Methodist Youth. I was just a youth intern at the time, and my boss told me to preach one Wednesday. I had no idea what I was doing, but I absolutely fell in love with it. So it's been about 5 years now. I've been preaching at least once a week with youth or with college, and sometimes in the big services. And I absolutely love it. It brings me so much joy, but I also know that I have a ton to learn. I've also preached many retreats, especially our girls' retreat, and I love that because it's an entire weekend where I get to preach 4 different sermons, and I'm exhausted by the end of it. But it really makes me focus in on what I'm talking about. If you're one of my youth students, you know one of my greatest joys when I preach is when kids open their Bibles. We have this thing where everybody shakes the pages on their Bible when they open their Bible, so they know that I hear them, because that's my favorite sound, is when Bibles open up. But I also love it when kids are engaged, when you can tell that they are looking right at me and they are listening every single word. That brings me such great joy. One of my greatest challenges in preaching is vulnerability. I don't want to be honest all the time. I would love to say that I've lived this perfect life and follow me, but there's also a lot of learning that happens from mistakes, and sharing our weaknesses with youth students, with the congregation, makes us relatable, makes people trust us more because we have opened our hearts to them. One of my biggest hopes for this class is that there are people in this class that will speak truthfully to me. I've preached to a lot of people whether colleagues or friends or family, that are just really nice when I ask them how it really went. And I'm really looking for some people that will say, Haley, that sucked real bad, and this is what I think you should do instead. I think that that's one of the greatest ways that we can learn. I've got thick skin, and I'm ready to hear some commentary. I think one of my biggest concerns for this class is videoing my sermons in front of our youth. That's where I preach the most, and I'm worried that I might change the way that I speak to them in a way that might be boring, or I might get really nervous because I know that the camera's up and may not sound like myself. And so I want to make sure that even though I'm turning these recordings in for a grade, I want to make sure that it still sounds like Haley House and that the youth still get from it what they need. And if that's needing a different audience to preach in front of, that works too. But I think that's my biggest concern is making sure that I still sound like myself, even though there's a video camera right in front of me.
You a Cadillac.